You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Glad you can join me on this Tuesday of All Things Sports with Mike Davis. I thank you for including my podcast into your day, night, or evening, whenever you decide to listen. If you're listening on Spotify, do yourself a favor. Go ahead and follow the podcast. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff. Go to the Facebook page to get in contact with the show for comments or any suggestions. I won't take up much more of your time. Let's get into it. All right, so before I get into the topic at hand, as I've stated in previous podcasts, lately I've become a movie buff again. All right, so I wanted to talk about a movie that I recently saw over the weekend, and it just released, I believe, and the movie is called Held. And I wanted to see something new and different, but I went on to Rotten Tomatoes, and here's the reason why I love Rotten Tomatoes. Not because they give great suggestions, but anything that they rank as being subpar, for me, turns out to be a great movie. And that fact, well, I won't say that fact, but that held true for me over the weekend. When I saw Held, Rotten Tomatoes only had it at a 43%, out of 100. So I said to myself, let's go and check this movie out. And it was a great movie, in my opinion. There is a twist, towards the end, as most movies. I'm not going to give the sport, I'm not going to spoil it for anybody that wants to go and see it. But do yourself a favor. You're looking for a good movie to check out. Check out Held. I'm telling you, you'll like it. Check it out. I enjoyed it. All right. So let's get to the topic at hand. I want to know, why are people worried about the Brooklyn Nets? Why? Can anybody tell me why? Anybody? The Brooklyn Nets. That's what I'm talking about. The team that everyone has pegged to go to the NBA Finals. And I must admit, when they signed Aldridge and Blake Griffin, I finally jumped on the bandwagon and was saying, yeah, this team is NBA Finals bound. Now, I wasn't really sold on them when it was just Kyrie and KD. I knew that wouldn't be enough. I didn't know how Harden would fit into the mix, but Harden has fit in pretty well. But I'm not so sure if the Nets are really the favorite in the East still. But let's take a look at some things. All right, so they're tied first with the Bucks in points per game, averaging 118 points a game. They're first in the league in field goal percentage at 49% from the field. They're sixth in three-pointers made. They're making 14 threes a game. They're third in three-point percentage. Now, the bad part for Brooklyn, they don't play defense. They have no interior defense. They don't play D. They average 118 points a game. They give up 114 points a game. That is 25th worst in the league. 25th worst in the league. And they're not great at forcing turnovers either. Only 6 steals a game, which is 28th in the league. Now, remember, I just told you they average 14 threes a game. They give up 13 threes a game, which is 22nd worst in the league. No interior defense. Look at what happened this past weekend when they played the LA Lakers. That's the game Kyrie was ejected from, along with Dennis Schroeder. Andre Drummond came in and was a man. I mean, he was moving LaMarcus Aldridge. Drummond had 20 points and 11 boards. And I remember distinctively a playoff game where Aldridge, where he was being bullied by Zach Randolph. This was his Portland days. This was the heyday of his career. And Zach Randolph was just bullying him down low in the paint. And looking at it now, Aldridge and Griffin might not be your best guys on defense, and not just them. DeAndre Jordan, he hasn't been getting much playing time lately, and look, Jared Allen is missed. That's the one big thing I've always said about the trade for James Harden that I did not like. The fact that they gave up Jared Allen, he was a part of that trade where he went to Cleveland. And I really think they missed Jared Allen. Jared Allen was a force in the middle, and the Bucks have not the Bucks, I'm sorry, I apologize, but the Brooklyn Nets have no interior defense, and they just don't play defense as a whole, period. And the reason I'm talking about that is because in a 7-game series in the playoffs, things change. It's not the regular season anymore. Teams can game plan for you. Now, when it comes down to it, it's still going to be, look, in the East, I love the fact that my Hawks are 4th, but let's be real. My Atlanta Hawks are not doing anything in the playoffs. It's a 3-team race in the East for the finals. It's the Nets, the 76ers, and the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, the Bucks, if they somehow can avoid the Nets and Sixers and somehow they cancel each other out, the Bucks are going to the finals. I'm not big on the Bucks though because I don't trust Mike Budenholzer. Now remember, I said if they avoid the Sixers and Nets. If they don't, I'm taking Sixers or Nets over the Milwaukee Bucks. I just said I don't trust Mike Budenholzer. He is a terrible playoff coach. I watched him here in Atlanta. I've seen him in person. As far as coaching goes, he makes no adjustments. He just rolls out the same game plan, and he rolls with it. Look what happened when the Bucks went against Toronto the year the Raptors won the finals. They were up 2-0, and what did Toronto do? They made adjustments. They went home and made adjustments, and they won 4 in a row and went on to win the NBA Finals. So, for Brooklyn to get to the NBA Finals, I do believe they want to see Milwaukee because like I said, I don't trust Budenholzer. If I'm the Nets, I want the Bucks. That's what I want. I want the Bucks. And you know what? Maybe you can throw Philly in there. I'm not really sold on Philly. Philly, the Sixers are one of those teams. They're just going to have to show me that they can get the job done. I mean, I don't believe in Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers has done he's had the most. He's done less with the most that he's had. He won it 1 year in Boston. Yeah, he had the big 3 in Boston. He really wasn't that great down in Orlando when he coached Orlando. I do believe he had a playoff team. I believe he's at the Magic to the playoffs one time. But you saw what he also did with the Clippers, Lob City. It didn't work, So, look, the Nets are sitting in a good situation. I'm not too concerned about Brooklyn. If I'm Brooklyn, I don't mind going through. I want Milwaukee if I'm Brooklyn. Give me the Bucks. Let me get the Bucks. I'm so on the Sixers. Look, Sixers, I don't think they're going to make any noise. They have to prove to me otherwise before I get on the 76ers bandwagon. Bucks, if the Bucks are going to the finals, they need to avoid the Nets and 76ers altogether. So, still, even though Brooklyn struggles inside, I still think that Brooklyn is the favorite at the end of the day. No interior defense. Now, that's not to say that they're going to win the finals. who's to say that the Lakers get healthy, with AD and LeBron, they come back and you have Andre Drummond in the middle. They're going to cause problems for Brooklyn. Remember, Kyrie Irving wants to take every other game off. I don't know what's going on with him, but I just, the Nets have so much talent that they can be in the situation that they're in and still be the favorite in the East. So that's my thoughts on it. No need to worry too much about Brooklyn. Is it too much star power there? They got all these all-stars in their lineup. They got a former MVP coach. They have D'Antoni as the assistant coach as well. I don't know. I don't know. You guys tell me. I still think that Brooklyn is the favorite. Behind them, I got Milwaukee. After that, Philadelphia. All right. So I'm going to switch it over to this day in sports history, April 13th. Going back to 1984, Pete Rose became the first National League player to get 4,000 hits in a career. He should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't care what anyone says. And back in, not too long ago, 2019, on this day, April 13th, Greg Popovich surpasses Lenny Wilkens to become the all-time winningest coach in NBA, in the NBA, in NBA history. I'm sorry for screwing that up. With 1,413 wins. All right, hey, look, that's all I got for you today, folks. I thank you for including my podcast into your day. If you're listening on Spotify, follow the podcast. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff. Go to the Facebook page to get in contact with the show for any comments or suggestions. You've been listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. And remember, it's your world. I'm just giving my opinion. I'm out. Peace.
You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.